Hello, how are you? Like, truly, how are you? I feel like now more than ever, we really need to check in on each other and get real about how we're doing, how we're feeling, and what we're needing. And we can only do that if we actually understand how we're feeling, how we're doing, and what we're needing. So hopefully we can touch base with that together today. Because I don't know about you, but I've been feeling lots of things, and sometimes I don't even know what they are. And I need to remind myself to pause and reflect and ground myself and get clear on how I'm doing and be willing to talk about that with other people. Today, we have our fire ciders. So I don't know if you remember, a couple weeks ago, we talked about fire cider. We talked about what it is, how to make it. We walked through it all together. And this is a different batch of fire cider that has been sitting for a little bit, and now we're going to strain it and bottle it up. I have been feeling pretty run down the last few days. The last week or two has been so crazy. Just lots going on. And of course, the seasonal shift always impacts our immune system and nervous system. All my systems are just feeling like they need extra TLC. And first of all, making products helps me feel that way. It nourishes me and gets me in my flow. And taking these products is so supportive and so nourishing. Like I talked about, fire cider is that number one product I turn to in the wintertime. And the number one product I recommend to everyone I talk to when we are talking about winter support. When we were making the fire cider in the last video, we were talking about emotions. And so this might be a little bit of a continuation on that theme, which I was not planning, but here we are. And when it comes to understanding our emotions, I think it's more challenging than we anticipate because our emotions are so layered. We're very rarely feeling one thing at a time. When I was going through my recovery journey in our group therapy sessions, at least once a day, they would ask us how we were feeling, and we would have to go around and say an emotion we were feeling. And I was always the one who could never just say one emotion. I had to list at least three, often many more, because I was never just feeling one specific way. And because it's all these different emotions layered on top of each other, it makes it hard to actually realize what it is that we're feeling and to fully process that. So this may not look super pretty, but here I have all the ingredients that went into our fire cider. And I am just squeezing it out to get as much of the juice as possible into this bowl, because we don't want to miss any last drop of the medicine magic. Emotions are another thing that society tells us should be cut and dry and one size fits all. If we're feeling sad, it should show up in this way, and we should express it in this way, and therefore others can understand what that sadness means for us and how we're feeling and what we need. When in reality, each emotion shows up differently for each of us. And it requires us to really tune in and want to know what the other person is actually feeling and take the time to connect to that and to be patient with that, instead of just assuming that because they say they're sad, we know what that sadness means for them. Also, pro tip, when you make your fire cider, you can use all the leftovers and put it in a soup, and that will help you not have any extra waste. Got lots of nettle on my hands. There have been many times when I've tried to express my emotions and other people simply are not understanding how I'm feeling or what I'm trying to tell them. And while that can be wildly frustrating, it also has to be okay, because no one actually is going to have the same experience of our emotions and be able to feel the sensation of our emotions move through our body, or understand how our emotions are impacting our thoughts. We can't always explain that full process or have people feel exactly what we are feeling. And some people are sensitive or intuitive in certain ways, and they can feel that more than others. That's a gift that some people have. And human design, actually, through our open centers, we can see where some people might be feeling our energy in ways that some others aren't. But regardless, we can't expect people to always understand how we're feeling or always know what we need. And that shouldn't deter us from expressing that and asking for our needs. It just means that, one, we have to be willing to explain and be really clear about what we need and how we're feeling. And two, give people grace and have the tools to support yourself. Sometimes you just need to know that you are the one who needs to tend to your emotions and tend to your needs. And so you need to know how to do that. When you can take care of yourself, no one can take that away from you. And so whether or not other people can fully show up for you or fully cater to what you need, it doesn't matter, because you got your own back and because you know how to take care of yourself. And again, this is not to say not to ask for support or not to expect people close to you to support you or to be so independent. That is not what I'm saying at all, because I've been there too. But it's just to have such a steady, grounded foundation in what works for you and in yourself, that you know you've got your own back always, alongside everyone else around you who loves you and supports you. No one will ever know and understand and see you in the same way that you can know and understand and see yourself. And now more than ever is a time for us to tune into that, because as the wintertime asks us to soften and slow down, our emotions are going to bubble to the surface. In times of our life and seasons and cycles and phases of our life, when we are moving quicker, it's easier to push things aside and distract. And then when we come to winter and it's asking us to slow down and it's asking us to connect deeper within ourselves, that's when things can reveal themselves. That's when we can really start to feel our emotions and be overwhelmed or confused by them. And it's important to have a wide range of tools, because maybe we think that we need one thing, we try it out, and then it actually doesn't work or actually doesn't help. And so we have this trial and error process, and we can move on to the next tool. And that's why it's also important to have these moments of pause and a ritual of reflecting, so that we know we're always checking in with ourselves and we know we're always giving ourselves what we need in this present moment, versus just moving on autopilot and doing what we think we should or what we think we need, when that's not actually what the present moment is calling for us. We are constantly evolving and growing, and wintertime is this time of shedding skin and letting the old die away, and we're rebirthing ourselves. We're coming out new. And this is the time to gain clarity on that version of yourself you're growing into, especially Scorpio season. This is the time to be really intentional with who you are becoming, and to be really intentional with the ways in which you want to show up for yourself and the ways in which you then want to show up in the world. Look at all the firesider goodness. That's why there's so much magic in seasonal living, is because it naturally brings us through these energy cycles of slowing down and speeding up and reflecting and intention setting and gaining clarity and shedding and reforming and growing. The world on a general scale, being nature and the universe, is aligned for us to listen to that. But our culture, our society is not at all aligned for us to live in that way. And so that's why we have to be really brave to live in this way. And we have to be willing to go against the status quo. And we have to know that the noise around us and the pace around us might not slow down, and it might in fact speed up. But that doesn't mean that we can't slow down and that we can't stay connected to what our energy is begging us to do. Because even though it's going against the status quo of our culture, slowing down and softening and going inwards and aligning with the winter season is going with the flow of energy around us that is just naturally around us. And you might find that when you can tune out the external noise, it actually feels more natural to soften, and it feels like a relief. It feels like a release. We just have to tune out the world and tune into ourselves, our intuition, and nature. One thing I love about medicine making and herbalism is, one, it requires me to slow down, because if I don't, I'll spill like I just did. And it requires me to tune into the energy around us, because what I put in my products is what my body needs at this moment. And what my body needs at this moment is responding to what's happening in nature. And therefore, it's requiring me to connect to what my body's going through and what everyone around me is going through and what my energy needs. And that reminds me of the season. And even if you don't like making your own products, taking these products is naturally connecting us with nature and naturally connecting us with the energy, because we are literally filling our body with the energy of what's happening in the season through these seasonal products. And we're also intentionally putting something in our body that is going to support us through what we're needing right now. Whatever you are feeling in this moment and whatever you are needing in this moment, I hope that you give yourself permission to feel it and to give it to yourself or to ask for it. I hope you take the time to really connect with that. Again, this is where rituals and reflections and intentions really come in. Setting time aside to do a ritual that will reconnect you to yourself and to your needs and to your emotions and to your body and to what's happening in the world around you. It will bring you back from this autopilot, mundane cycle of life back into the present moment, back to feeling fully alive and connected and nourished and supported. And that is what we need now more than ever. So I just need to put the labels on these products for a very special project coming soon. So stay tuned. I know in this moment I'm feeling tired, feeling frustrated, I'm feeling hopeful, and I'm feeling conflicted. That's kind of where I'm at in this moment. I'm sure it will change if you ask me in 5 minutes. We'll see. I would love to hear how you are feeling and one way that you are going to take care of yourself today.